Well, hello there. So you want to learn how to make a bit of code that mimics logging into a piece of software. Well, lucky for you, I have the tutorial for you. So let's get on to the coding.
And this is where everything starts. Microsoft Visual Studio 2022. You can get it free from off the internet. Now, you might be looking at what's on my screen and you're gonna tell yourself, what the f am I looking at? Well, don't worry, this is actually very basic code that I will proceed to teach you within the following minute. Starting from the top, we have our variables. Now, our variables are laid out in one singular line here, but if you wish to be a little more organized, you can always make it like this. However, this looks more bulky and it adds unnecessary lines to your code, so I'd say scrap this idea and go straight for these. Now, this tutorial is assuming you know the very basics of coding, such as how to do console.writeLine and console.readLine and clear, and how to set variables, because the next few bits of code are exactly that, simply asking the user what they want to set as their label for the temporary terminal session, and what they want to set their temporary password to. It's this next part that has a few people confused, in which is what is going to be the main focus of this video. To put it very simply, these pieces of magenta text here are called the if and else commands. Now, the if and else commands basically produce a scenario that the user has a choice. In this situation, they have, would you like to access your sessions? Press 1 if yes choice. Now, of course, before you start your if and else command line, you will need text like this that gives your user instructions. Now, we have another one of our variables popping up here called log. And console.readLine essentially making it so that whatever the user types within this space right here will be assigned to the log variable. Here's where we can type if space parentheses log equals 1 because 1 is our if scenario, because that is part of our instructions. If they type 1, they will be directed to this scenario right here. Now, if they type anything other than 1, they will be redirected down here to our else clause or our else scenario that says understood closing terminal. And if the user types 1, they'll be redirected to this screen right here, which the software will give them the instruction to type their session name and their password to access their session. Now, the session name and password that is being asked of here is already set by the users themselves earlier within our code. All they have to do is to retype their session and password name correctly. Now, you can put another if-else scenario within another pre-existing if-else scenario. All you have to do is to type if within the brackets, parentheses, try u, equals, session, and try p, and password. All of these are variables which were already set prior. This is why setting variables are very important. If they were to type their password and their session name correctly, the if scenario will redirect them to the final screen of our software, which is a simple welcome back and opening session message. However, if they were to get any of their login information wrong, the else scenario will redirect them to the final screen of our software, which says incorrect login information, initiating Loki protocol, which will subsequently close the program.
And there you have it. You now know how to make a bit of code that mimics logging into a bit of software. But you don't know what it looks like. Well, let's run it then and find out.
Let's press run. Here, the software will now pop up, and as expected, the welcome message is displayed as expected. Now, let's say I want my name to be Iron Man. Good day, Iron Man. What would you like to label this temporary terminal session? Let's say I want to name it Endgame. Now, it'll ask for a temporary password. I'll set it as Stark. Alright, now it is asking if I want to access my session. I'll press 1. Now it's asking for the session name, which we named Endgame. Now asking for the temporary password, which we remembered to be Stark. And that's the final screen of our program saying opening session. However, what if we didn't press 1? Let's rerun our software and do the same thing over again. Now let's say Iron Man, Endgame, Stark. But instead of pressing 1, what if we type anything other than 1? Let's say no. It'll say understood plus your username, closing terminal, and that's the end of the program. And now, what if we get our login information wrong? Here, I'm going to go through the same process. Iron Man, Endgame, Stark, press 1 this time, Endgame. Let's say we get our password wrong, and we accidentally type Tony instead of Stark. As you can see, it says incorrect login information, initiating Loki protocol, and ends the software.
Thank you for watching. I hope this helps, and I hope you learned something from me, and I hope you pass your coding class. But remember, trial and error is the best teacher for coding. So keep trying, keep coding, keep making mistakes, and keep learning from those mistakes. I have been Rain Quelio. Thanks for watching.